You're listening to Tripod, the Tricycle Creative podcast, created to help entrepreneurs be better marketers. Each episode features news, tips, interviews, and commentary from the worlds of marketing, media, and, well, miscellaneous. Now, here are your co-hosts, Ross Erosion and Chris Slezak.
Episode 9, Tripod, the Tricycle Creative Marketing Podcast. Hello to you. Thanks for checking us out. Oh, and I have a co-host. He is the Ray Stance to my Peter Venkman. It's Chris Slezak.
Hello
to you. How are you doing?
Timed me.
Yeah, that's right. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
I hear you've been a little under the weather.
I have been. I had my
You
own.
was or you are? Tell the truth.
I still got a little bit of. I got a little bit of Slimer coming out of my head.
Oh God, that's so gross. What are your symptoms? I'm gonna put them into WebMD.
I got a cough that kind of goes like one of those things, and then
What's your gender? I need that first. I'm just gonna make up your age. 59, and you're male. Do you? Yeah, you identify. Your main symptom is phlegm, right?
Yeah.
How do you spell phlegm? Phlegm.
H.
Oh,
There's
God.
a G in there somewhere?
There are a lot of options. And you know what? Sometimes people, maybe they sit down to dinner and they put on this podcast. It's lovely. It's a lovely dinner podcast. And so I'm not going to share with them. I'm just going to guess the color of it. Okay. So this is going to be good. I'm going to guess at your medications. Okay. You are arthritic, so you definitely have arthritis. This is more involved than it ever was for WebMD. Okay. So you have, these are your three options, and your only three options, by the way.
Is it lupus?
Yeah. You have bacterial pneumonia. That's a fair match. That's what's fair. Okay. I like the extreme matches. Yeah. It's not giving me the extremes, which I'm disappointed. You have bronchitis, or you have acute sinusitis. It's cute.
It's adorable. I have adorable sinusitis.
You're always showing it around. You have pictures of it in your wallet. People are seeing it. They don't want
it on Instagram.
Enough. We get it with your sinusitis. Well, I appreciate you braving all of these conditions to be here today.
It's far too much credit than I deserve.
There you go. Okay. And you, listener, thank you also for checking us out and coming back. We are on episode number 9. If you haven't listened to our previous 9, really, I guess 10 or even 11, if you count our pilot episodes, then you should do that. There's a lot of great knowledge there, a lot of good stuff. So I do recommend you do that. I also recommend you subscribe and rate in whatever thing that you listen to this podcast on, whether it be Spotify, Google, Apple, whatever, Chris, whatever they listen to it on, they should be.
I don't know. It's none of my business.
Liking it. It is none of your business. So we're going to get into data privacy on this show. So much like many of the things we're going to talk about, it is also none of your business. So this is Tripod. We talk about 3 subjects every show. Something from the world of media, something from the world of marketing, and something from the world of miscellaneous. And on this show, we are going to be talking about deepfake Facebook, some interesting developments when it comes to fake stuff on Facebook. We're going to be talking about counterfeit coffee. A article came up about a construction worker who may or may not be a real person. And we're going to be talking about Mozilla Be Blockin. Specifically, they be blocking Google Analytics. So very interesting. Those are our 3 topics for this week. Chris, did I miss anything about what's going to be in this action-packed show?
No, I think you set them up, and I think we're ready to knock them down.
Whoa. So, Chris, do you remember a couple weeks ago? There was a video that circulated around Facebook of Nancy Pelosi with slurred speech. Do you
I do.
recall this? At least
do.
the story, maybe not the video specifically, but the story.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Okay. And Facebook said, hey, we're not going to remove it, right? Because they gave a number of different, they tap danced around it. We're not going to remove it for this reason. They didn't remove it. Well, now they got kind of an interesting scenario on their hands. Recently, there was a video created by a Israeli startup called, I believe it's Canny AI, and they did this in conjunction with this art installation, and they created what are now, I guess, called deepfake videos of a number of different celebrities, the ones that you love and follow. I like actually, in this thing I'm reading, it says depicting celebrities like Kim Kardashian and U.S. President Donald Trump. I just thought they classified him as a celebrity, not a president. Say what you will about that. Okay, the videos, they did a video also of Mr. Mark Zuckerberg. Now,
right, and to clarify, deepfake videos, I mean, these are very realistic, very lifelike.
Crazy real. I mean, they look, sound just like the person they're depicting.
And am I wrong? It comes from an existing video. It's not built from the ground up.
They take, from what I have read, they take aspects of real video, right? So in this one, they said they chose a scene of less than a minute. So the actual deep fake video of Zuckerberg is I think it's less than 30 seconds. But they took a scene of less than a minute, a real video of Zuckerberg, and then used a computer to meld it with an actor's voice and his facial movements. So what I would imagine is almost like the reverse of whenever you see a Avengers behind the scenes where they're all wearing silly CGI suits,
right? The motion capture with the ping pong balls and all that. Yeah,
they're almost doing the reverse, right? So they're taking the real video and what I would imagine is then mapping it and then creating this deep fake video from it.
Right.
Now, the video. Did you end up watching the video?
Not the Zuckerberg one. I didn't. I mean,
wild.
he's robotic enough as is. I mean,
That's
that seems
kind
like
of
an
the
easy.
Thing. Yeah, it is. It's incredibly real, but it's almost like you're already doing an android,
Right.
So I still give them mad credit. They said it took, and again, the video itself is him saying a couple of lines, specifically about people's privacy and how one man has access to, billions of people's privacy and therefore, their entire lives. Let me see if I can find the actual thing that they had him saying in the deep fake. Hold on one second here.
While you're looking up that, I did see a deep fake that was Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. They took a scene from the last season of Game of Thrones and had him basically just smack talking the last season and setting it all on fire.
Wow.
So that was interesting.
So
because I don't think the audio I don't believe was an actor. I think it's phonetic sounds taken from just all of the audio from the rest of the series, and they were able to just basically recreate it. In fact, I think Adobe is still working on software where you could create, just type in what you would want a specific person to say, and they can take 30 minutes worth of audio and scan all the phonetic sounds and be able to recreate that from scratch.
You're not even talking to Ross right now. This is a deep fake podcast. We're not even real people. Imagine that. And yet the audience would say, yeah, I get it. I could see how this could be a deep fake. Okay, here's what Zuckerberg says in the deep fake video. Imagine this for a second. One man with total control of billions of people's stolen data, all their secrets, their lives, their futures. And then they actually have him say thanks to, and then the organizations that made the video. Right. So they made Zuckerberg give a shout out, which is kind of funny.
Right.
But this is, it's bananas.
I mean, that's bad news, right? Like this, I see no good coming from this.
It's bad news on a lot of levels. Now Facebook replied. Here's the Facebook angle is, and the big controversy, if you will, is, or maybe not, is they're not removing it. Right now, interestingly enough, one of the news networks, CBS, put in a trademark strike against it because the footage that they duplicate or copied was from a CBS like news broadcast. So there might be like a loophole that might save Facebook from it. But Facebook, to stay consistent with their ruling on the Pelosi piece, did not remove it. And it opens up a much larger conversation when it comes to fake news, fake. I don't want to fake versus, I guess I'll say damaging, but like, or hate speech.
Yeah.
Fake speech versus hate speech.
Ooh.
They didn't have Zuckerberg saying anything. Well, I mean, that's not the greatest things to say, but it's not hate speech, right?
But it could have been.
Exactly. And if it was, then they have a loophole. But you could certainly argue, like, let's go back to the Pelosi video. I don't think there was anything in there that was hate speech, but the fact that you potentially have this video to point to and say, oh, this is Nancy Pelosi, she's drunk in public.
Right. It was,
I mean, that's pretty damaging.
At best. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this really starts to freaking make the water super murky when it comes to these platform owners being arbiters of content.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because this just came out before our show. We're not going to get into it today, but maybe on a future episode. I saw that like the government is looking into even how YouTube is handling kids' videos on their platform. So much so that YouTube may completely spin off and have a separate like YouTube Kids thing. I mean, like, it's this hornet's nest that the platform creators have kind of created for themselves.
Right. And yeah, I mean, it's already so hard to find credible sources, and even then, trust them. I mean, in this age of misinformation, I mean, this is a whole new level, because you have to take, I mean, the onus is upon you to do the research to be like, well, is this a credible source? I mean, there's still plenty of people on Facebook that pass around Onion articles as if they're the real thing. So, I mean,
and I would also say it's not only that the burden has always been on like the consumer for truth, I would say. I mean, good journalists, they want to sniff out and report on the truth. But in this era of, kind of, I'm not going to say it again, but like news that you can't confirm, pieces of data that you cannot confirm, it's up to you to do some extra research. But you think about this, they just talked about how this deepfake video took like a couple hours to do. You have to also start to think about the potential volume of misinformation that could now be out there. So even if you are trying to be someone who searches for the truth, you're having to sift through a bigger pile of garbage to get there.
And it's real good. I mean, it's real good.
It's pyrite. You're looking for gold and you're getting, oh my God, all this, like, it looks like gold. You don't know if it's facts or not. Now, Facebook did announce that they said they were going to spend millions to fund, this is strange, to fund academic institutions studying image and video analysis, with some of that work tackling deepfakes.
To just a bunch of people yelling, that's Photoshop, that's a deepfake.
Yeah. Now, I will also say recently, Adobe, while you were talking about their kind of building this technology potentially for voice, they also came out with or are developing a tool I saw that can uncover when a photo has been manipulated.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. It uses some sort of
so
weird
that's pretty
scanning
interesting.
can point out like, oh, this has been manipulated. This pixel has been manipulated or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we bring up a lot of these topics that are in the greater kind of landscape of these marketing platforms, because I firmly believe that the more informed our listeners are on what is going on with these networks, the better off they're going to be. I really try to bring these back to what does this mean for you? And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little hard pressed to point this directly to what you can do about this. My only, I think maybe, or not only, but the takeaway that immediately comes to me is to say that we could very well see a shakeup on and almost like a fragmentation on these platforms in the next 2 years, maybe not even that long, that could completely upend how we have interacted with social platforms as a marketer, but also as people. And those two connect, right? How people interact and use a platform absolutely affects then how a marketer uses it.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I would also say if you are a company that makes deepfake videos, then you have a real strong future.
Yeah. If
you're
I'm definitely gonna have one, commissioned for the next time I need to call out of work. Just try to, FaceTime my boss, and it's just a fake video of me with the aforementioned lupus.
Oh yeah. Let me give you your diseases that you need to tell them. Yeah. Oh, I closed the window. I think it was
you have acute bronchitis.
Acute bronchitis. I just hope it's everything sounds like you until you get to like the descriptions, like usually when you do like an AI thing where it's like,
I can't hello, I have acute bronchitis. Yeah.
Or it's like an English woman's accent or something. You're like, I didn't set that right, but I just spent 3 hours on this video. I'm just going to send it in. They're not going to watch it anyways. I don't care.
You put more work into getting out of work than you did doing work.
If you just came in with the amount of time you put into getting out of work, you're almost at half a day. You're almost there. You're like practically done with work. But what fun is that? So, I mean, again, I think that's just the takeaway. We've talked about these things a lot. I just think we're really in this interesting era right now when it comes to privacy and interaction and fragmentation that we're kind of gearing up for. These social platforms all looking a little bit different than how we remember them or how we've used them in the past, 5 years or so. That could be a good thing because it may mean a new competitor enters in the market. That's great. It could mean a different thing. It could just mean Facebook as we have known it is going to become different. I do think that's going to happen. I have to think that at some point this privacy stuff is going to catch up with them, and it's going to impact how people advertise and target on Facebook and by extension Instagram, because I maybe incorrectly said this deepfake video of Zuckerberg, it was on Instagram, which obviously is a Facebook platform. So we will share the video, the creepy deepfake video, on our show notes. And Chris, guess what?
What's that?
We have a brand new, much simpler way for people to go and see all the show notes and listen to all our old episodes. Can you believe it?
Can't even believe it.
You didn't believe in me, and for that, you will be punished. But tripodpodcast.com. One word, tripodpodcast.com. All of our show notes, all of our episodes up online. You can do that, and you'll love them. It's 100% guarantee by Chris.
Oh, boy.
Subject number 2 in the category of marketing on Tripod, the Tricycle Creative podcast, is about what I have dubbed counterfeit coffee. Some people, they put fake milk in their coffee. Some people drink instant coffee. This is something very different, and I will let Chris tell you all about it.
So I'm on my couch. I'm scrolling through Instagram, looking through my feed. Just looking through, I come across one of the accounts that I follow, at Middle Class Fancy, which I highly recommend everyone follow if they don't. And on it, they have this construction worker from Austin, where we're from, who's like, hey, my daughter was showing me Instagram the other day and was, telling me what an Instagram influencer was. And I was like, well, I can do that. So I decided I'm going to be an influencer. And so I'm looking at his account and I start following him, and he's got all these accounts, and he's just a construction guy, as his handle says. It's called Just a Construction Guy. And he basically is just doing what any blue collar worker does, and he's having coffee and eating lunch, and he's on the site, and he's just downtown Austin doing what guys do. And the pictures look really nice.
Let me just correct you. What men do. You and I don't do those things.
Right. We're dudes.
What men do. We sit at home on the couch, scroll through Instagram, just to clarify the difference. Yeah. Got it.
And
okay.
So when I start following this guy, he's got like, I don't know, a couple thousand followers, maybe 10,000, let's say. By the time maybe by the time this airs, he's got bordering on 550,000 followers or something crazy. And it's just him, like I said, just drinking coffee from the local coffee shop or whatever. So I'm like, this is crazy. This guy's just a guy. And like his daughter's like helping him take some artsy photos, because isn't that funny? And he's doing it. He's like really doing it. And I'm like, I'd rather follow this guy than any other Instagram influencer.
Do you want to know how many followers he has?
Right now? Yeah.
Yeah. What was your guess?
I
think it's sit here today on
550,000 something.
Oh, he must have lost some. still not shabby. 537,000.
So here's the thing. I'm like, what am I going to talk to Ross about today? And I think I'm going to talk to him about this guy who's just like, I'm going to be an Instagram follower or an influencer, and just flips the script on what influencers do. So I Google him, and I'm like, what's up with this guy? Like, how'd this get started? What do I come across? I come across an article from Vice that tells me this guy ain't real. This whole thing is all from the coffee shop that he's sitting there being like, just at my local coffee shop on my break. It's all fake. It was all set up, and I got duped by it. I fell for it 100%. I thought this guy was just a guy. For a moment, I was like, these photos are a little too good.
This is the first time I'm hearing this.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this before the show.
We did not.
Because you were late to the party and you just gave this up. But it's fine. We don't always talk about it.
I was going to come to you with like a thing about, look at this crazy marketing scheme. But no. In fact, look at how I fell for a crazy marketing scheme.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Now knowing that and there's all this back and forth about, is he fake? No, he's a real guy, but whatever. How do you now feel about him? And then I guess about, because it's for QV.
QV? Oive?
CUV. We're both two white guys. I'm sorry.
QV. I think it's QV coffee.
I like that. That sounds the best. So okay. So how do you feel about him? And how do you feel about let's just say about their brand by extension?
I feel like how Ron Burgundy felt when Baxter ate a whole wheel of cheese, and I'm not even mad. I'm amazed,
dude.
Like, because I fell for it because they got me.
I said to you when we talked about it for a split second that I'm like, I don't know if you think I'm where I'm at on this. I don't. I think you're going to be surprised at where I come out of this. And I'm right there with you. Like I I know we preach authenticity, right? And I think that really applies when you're small business. Well, I mean, any business, but particularly small business entrepreneur. Like I am very big on authenticity, right? However, I am also very passionate about brand building. And this to me, I know we've talked very ill of influencer type thing, but
Sure.
this is right on the nose, right?
Right.
I mean,
it was
like,
just a guy. It's not some fashion model. It's a guy.
it's
Not a bad looking guy.
you know what it is? It's not the tail wagging the dog. It's not the brand going to the influencer. It's the brand creating almost a brand extension through this person, because he wasn't an influencer before this. He is a real guy.
He's a real guy. That's the thing.
Deepfake.
He's not an
a
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a real construction worker that did go to Cuvée Coffee, and they were like, "Hey, how would you like to be in on this?"
All these parts kind of fell together. He is a legit well, I don't know now. Maybe now. I mean,
now he's an influencer.
I'm actually going to pull up his account. Hold on, and it does say, and now I'm not even sure if it's tongue in cheek, but it says, let me see here. Okay, in construction, this is his profile. Father and husband, coffee lover, lifestyle influencer. So now, I don't know if now he's buying his own hype.
Well,
I
think the reason I bought into it is because,
or if that's a wink, if that's like a funny wink, if you will.
Right. I bought into it. I think on personal level, because like, whenever I would go to a museum with my dad, he would be like, "Well, this is just lines on a canvas. I can do that." And I'm like, "Well, do it then. Like, be an artist." I always have this like kind of secret hope that my dad will just late in his life become this great artist, because he's like, "Well, I could do that, and I just haven't had the time." And so to see this guy, just this dad, be like, "Well, I can be an influencer," and then he was, and I was like, "Yeah, he did it. He did the thing." And so now I'm kind of like, "Oh, but he's not real." Like, that kind of broke my heart a little.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like feel. I have no negative feelings from this to Cuvée. What did we decide it was?
I think Cuvée.
Thank you. I'm just gonna let you say it every time. That coffee, or him, right? Or that this felt even like I was gonna say tricky, but more like deceptive, right?
Right.
But I will say the no, or maybe the gray area here, is that Instagram and Facebook, when you are an influencer, I am pretty sure now you have to very specifically say this post contains a sponsored message.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm pretty sure that's the deal. Like, that's part of the deal now of clearing up those blurry lines of who's being compensated for what. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not really sure why they care, but I'm sure there's a bigger, smarter reason that I just can't think of right now, as far as, just straight up transparency, I suppose. But
sure.
And the fact that this didn't have that kind of transparency, it tricked you. But let me say this, right? Do you think that this, if you had never found out that this was a campaign, do you think that you would have then gone to the coffee shop?
No. You know what? At best, I would have bought a T-shirt with this guy's face on it.
Got it.
So
you were more
liked him,
ascribing value to him, not so much the coffee.
That's correct. I have.
Interesting.
I now have. But my meter has not moved on how I feel about this coffee that I may or may not have ever had. I don't know. Maybe I've come across it before. If I did, it wasn't memorable. Like, I don't know, but I'm no more likely to buy it.
I'm looking at his posts, which, again, just a construction guy, which by the time you hear this, maybe different, maybe gone, maybe even bigger than what we're talking about now. There are a handful of coffee shots, definitely ones that are really good. Yeah, your spider sense.
That's the thing.
Your spider sense sort of tingled because these are really good photos.
It did. I was like, these are two. I was like,
there was a fantastic
these
photo here of like the coffee splash, and they caught it like midair.
Right.
It's like a beautiful shot.
And the caption is like, oh, I don't know. My daughter says that these are popular, but I think it's just a waste of coffee. The captioning was great. Like whoever did this campaign did a great job.
Way to promote another agency. No, I'm just kidding. No.
But if you're looking for that kind of work,
this was Bandolier Media, and this is a fantastic campaign. I totally come on, this is fantastic work. And the thing is, even in these photos, he doesn't it's not over the top. Like some of them, he just tags that he's at the coffee shop. Again, I'm just not going to say it anymore.
Which you're like, oh, it's like across the street from where he's working or whatever.
Yeah, but this one, the splash photo, he just mentions there's no mention of that actual place, right? There's no specific brand mention. And then the other ones, it is in the location, but it's not like a, hey, just went to Cuvée Coffee and had great Cuvée coffee, and I like Cuvée coffee. I love it. Hashtag influencer.
Right. It feels like, if anything, this was more of an ad for the marketing than it was for the actual
we're talking about
product.
So they got us.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. But now it's over. Now I'm like, well, I don't care anymore.
Do you work for them? Is this part of the campaign? They specifically wanted to infiltrate this amazing marketing podcast.
Well, I could be a podcaster. I could do that.
You son of a bitch. You were bought. Oh my God. Your whole thing has been a lie. You're not even in a band. This is all a lie.
It's all a marketing campaign and a deepfake at the same time. I'm a deepfake influencer. I think that's what my profile is going to say from now on. Deepfake influencer.
I have to go cry. Well, I guess I'll keep doing the show with you because, you're here. Technically, you're the one recording the show, so I guess I'm at your whim, Chris. So here we go. The third and final topic of show number 9. Again, before we get into it, I just want to remind you, please go back, listen to some of our other shows. They're good stuff. tripodpodcast.com. So, last subject, we're talking about the web browser, Mozilla. Are you familiar with Mozilla Firefox?
I am.
Are you a user?
I used to be.
I really want to be a user of Firefox. I like a lot of what they do. I will say, though, Chrome's kind of got me with their extensions. Mozilla doesn't, or Firefox doesn't have as many of those. Sounds stupid, but that's just kind of how they get me. Almost everything in my life, unfortunately, right now is just a vehicle for Google services. I have an iPhone, but everything on it is Google. Seems silly, but that's where we're at. So, Firefox, they have come out with a new browsers, which I will say, anecdotally, but I also think factually are actually much faster than Chrome browsers. But they came out with a new release, a little update for Firefox, and it apparently was blocking completely Google Analytics by default. Now, if you don't know what Google Analytics is or are, what it is a product by Google, and you put some code on your website that essentially connects it to Google, and then Google compiles I can't just tons and tons and tons of analytics about your website traffic. It's a great tool. It's super useful. Just tons and tons and tons and tons of people use it. There are certainly other ones, more enterprise, so bigger, that are from, I believe, even think like Adobe and some other. There are other web analytics software, but Google Analytics by far is the most accessible, and I would wager a guess to say probably the most used because it is free.
Which is not surprising.
No, not at all. I mean, Google is absolutely king in the search world, and they have a good suite of products that assist the small business. Whether it's Google Analytics or even Google Ads or Google Search Console or Google My Business. These are a number of different things, and they're good for them when people use them, right? I mean, they help the consumer, but obviously it just kind of deepens and entrenches Google with data and information, which is really good. Now, there's a little bit different though. Let me explain than how Facebook collects data. We'll go into that in a second. But so yes, the new Firefox blocking Google Analytics by default, and when this was kind of discovered, there was even this whole Twitter back and forth between some of the Firefox creators and engineers and some of the Google folks. So let me explain the difference between Google Analytics and, let's say, for instance, Facebook's data. Google Analytics collects information that is what they call aggregated anonymous data. Okay, so if I go into Google Analytics and I look at my search traffic, I'll see, I had 20 users this month, and then on average 5 page views, and they spent 3 minutes on the site on average, blah, blah, blah. I mean, and any number of literally thousands of pieces of data that's collected. However, it's anonymous. I can't ascribe it to individuals. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas Facebook, their data collecting is a little bit more connected and ascribed to individuals, right? The data that you give them, the data that then they make assumptions about based on your behavior. That's a little bit different. There's also, and it's kind of in the realm of the opposite, which is personally identifiable, right? So that could be, data that you can absolutely connect to an individual, right?
Sure.
Very different things. Mm-hmm. And so right out of the gate, Mozilla, the new Firefox was blocking it. And this big Twitter back and forth was going on, really debating the whole fact about collecting identifiable, personally identifiable data versus anonymous aggregated data. Now, an update has happened, and it looks like what Firefox developers are doing, which in this Twitter back and forth, part of the hypocrisy was also pointed out that Firefox themselves apparently are users of Google Analytics. No, awkward. Is it hot in here? Okay. But they now are allowing Google Analytics back in, and it should be unaffected. Right.
Now because they've been called out on it?
I mean, I think it could be a number of different things. I think also it's a very big sweeping move. Like, it's one thing if you want to crack down on potentially personally identifiable data, which there is an element of Google Analytics that does that for what's called remarketing. Now, we have talked about this in some prior podcasts, remarketing, the idea that I go to your website, I don't buy anything, but then you can target me with some marketing pieces, but that's a kind of a separate add-on to analytics. By default, analytics, it's anonymized, right? It's as we talked about. So what I suspect is maybe Facebook will cut down on that, and I think that's also where some of this other privacy stuff is going to get cut down. Like, the golden age that we've had of being able to target people so incredibly and almost creepily specifically might kind of go away with some of the privacy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you, what are your thoughts, Chris, as far as like, okay, you're, again, anonymous user data, because this is really, really, really helpful. I mean, I work with some of our clients on this. I obviously myself use it for Tricycle Creative. This data is very valuable. It tells you just so much about your website. Where do you feel like this lands for you? As a novice, not knower of some of these things, where does this sit with you?
Like as a consumer?
Yeah.
I think I fall in that camp of like, I don't care. Like if you're gonna advertise to me, at least advertise things I'm interested in,
I think we as a marketed to audience kind of forget about that. It's like, I know that there's definitely a creepy element to the remarketing. Let's just put that on the shelf for a second. But I mean, not getting relevant stuff sent to you. Like if you had to pick, would you rather have relevant things marketed to you or not relevant things marketed to you?
Right. Like I'd rather have beard shampoo marketed to me than, women's shampoo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, if I'm going to be marketed to one way or the other, right? I mean, like, there's no stopping that.
Yeah.
So at least pique my interest for a little bit.
Yeah.
And just when I like to think that I can't be marketed to anyway, then, our previous segment proves that I absolutely can be. So, I mean, yeah, it's like, I don't know, keep trying. Like, I'd rather buy things that I want to buy, or at least that I think I want to buy.
Yeah, and I think it really just it will always come back to I guess kind of a pendulum swing, right? Like I do really believe, whether people appreciate it now or not, we're probably gonna look back. I kind of hope on this time and say like, wow, that was like a great golden age, if you will, of digital marketing targeting. And maybe it won't be as good in the future, but maybe it means some of the privacy aspects get cleaned up a little bit, like I don't know if it needs to be as specific as it has been.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm naive enough that I don't know. I don't, all the internet privacy. I mean, I don't want my identity stolen, but like if you know how old I am, what gender I am and what my shopping habits are, and I'm like, whatever. I mean, I would have told you if you'd had asked me. Yeah.
I have actually, on that note, been submitting all of your information in the dark web while we've been talking. So probably you didn't want me to do that, or
I don't know. I would certainly rather not be human trafficked, but other than that,
make that promise. That's a big promise to ask. But you're totally deepfake AI anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is all under the assumption that I'm a real person.
That's true.
It's not yet been proven.
No one has proven it. There's been no evidence. All we know is that you may or may not even be a cartoon person. That is really the only evidence.
Oh, I'm basically Judge Doom,
Oh my God. That is, I was going to say Max Headroom, but if you want to go Judge Doom, that's fine too. I mean, I was just going to go softer, I think. I think I was going to go as you as a Pepsi pitchman.
Not as a murderous cartoon.
I mean, I think you should be appreciative.
Who is hell-bent on creating a highway.
I just think you should appreciate that that's the direction I went instead of your... I feel like that says a lot about how we both look at you, and I'm a little concerned now. So I feel like now is as good a time to probably wrap up this episode, number 9. Oh my God, Chris.
Yeah.
Next episode is number 10, the big 1-0.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did it.
Like I said, we should do a clip show. If that wasn't more work than just doing a show, I would say we should do that. But it surprisingly seems like
the next episode is going to start with it's going to start with Green Day's Time of Your Life.
Wow, it's like you knew every single production package ever done in I don't know when that song came out. Every single high school video.
Right.
Or, yeah, mostly high school video. I was going to say wedding, but that doesn't seem right. That's not right for a wedding.
No.
You're starting it. It's already over. It wouldn't make sense. It'd be terrible. Funeral. For a funeral, maybe. For a funeral slideshow.
Catch next week's funeral slideshow episode of Tripod.
That's the best sell I could ever do. So I'm not going to try and top it. I am just going to ask you, listener, be sure to subscribe, comment, go to tripodpodcast.com, check out all the old episodes, and we will see you. Episode number 10. What's the tentative title that we just came up with?
I believe it was funeral clip show. I already forget.
Funeral slideshow, episode number 10. We'll see you there.
Thanks for listening to Tripod. For show notes and bonus content, go to tricycle-creative.com/tripod. Connect with Tricycle Creative on Facebook and Instagram at Hello Tricycle. Connect with Ross at Ross Hero. Connect with Chris on Instagram at Ruthless Chris Steakhouse.